Spyro. Spyro. Spyro the dragon. Just can't get enough of that Spyro, you know? Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to another possible ramble video. I was gonna script something out, but I decided not to because it just feels like it's time to wing it. Much like how Spyro is taking flight in A Realm Beyond. Alright, so let's get into it. Let's just talk about A Realm Beyond, and I guess just Spyro in general. I did go back and 120% Spyro 1, like maybe twice after the announcement. I might end up doing it again, but more specifically because, well, obviously the first Spyro game is really fun to just go through and 120% if you know what you're doing, and it's just sort of like a leisure kind of thing for me. I'll just turn it on whenever I'm bored and just start clearing out worlds and going through it. But most specifically, the thing that you unlock at the end of Spyro 1 is Nasty's loot, and in Nasty's loot you are able to free fly essentially, and the way that they handle the free fly is sort of like, I don't know if it's like something that full-heartedly like inspired Dragonflight for A Realm Beyond, or if it's something that they specifically looked towards whenever it came to free flight in Spyro, because I feel like the way that they handle it in Nasty's loot definitely could be expanded more so further in A Realm Beyond, or just any Spyro game that's trying to do like a free flight thing, because it mixes both platforming elements as well as flight elements into it. The way that they did it in Nasty's loot is obviously you can fly, but there's like a barrier that stops you unless you like unlock the next floor with the key after getting it from a thief. So it works in a little bit of platforming, so you do have to do some platforming still, and then it works in the flight. And then once you've reached like the max level that you can fly to, then it's just like, you know, you fly through level. It's not like entirely something that's like you can really build something off of, but it is interesting that that's like the only classic Spyro game that does that. Given that A Realm Beyond, from the looks of it, and my assumption with how Toys for Bob handled Crash Bandicoot 4, where it like took everything from the trilogy that made Crash Bandicoot's trilogy the trilogy, it looks like they may have extensively researched stuff from different Spyro games, not just the classic trilogy, but also within the you know, the era where Spyro was experimenting and becoming different than what the original series was. Then obviously I think, you know, we could see some Skylander stuff be put into this as well, considering that Toys for Bob also spearheaded Skylanders, which I don't think that would be a bad thing to see. I think, you know, taking a lot of influences from the Spyro games that the fan base grew up with, or just different eras of Spyro, to be able to come back to a brand new game, brand new experience, and just have something that's built off of the foundation of what made all those games click for everybody. I think that that'll be really interesting to see how they handle that going forward, especially if they plan on and are able to continue. Now, looking over the gameplay footage and just watching the trailer a ton, it is very hard to tell like what this gameplay is, like what is it supposed to be specifically. Like, I think there were even like interviews with Toys for Bob from certain content creators where they asked like, is it an RPG, and Toys for Bob said no, it's not really an RPG. And then like they asked if it's more like the original franchise and how that gameplay was, and they were like, nah, not really. So it's kind of reminded me of how Crash Team Rumble came about and how people looked at Crash Team Rumble's gameplay, and majority of the people that saw it only could describe it as a MOBA, but Toys for Bob themselves didn't want to clarify it as a MOBA, even though it has like all the tendencies and all the mechanics that make it a MOBA. But like, it's one of those things where I feel like you're not going to be able to understand the gameplay until you start playing it yourself. Another case with A Realm Beyond, I believe, because that's how it was for Crash Team Rumble. When I first saw Crash Team Rumble, I was excited for it, but I also was kind of worried because the gameplay seemed a little weird for a Crash Bandicoot game. You know, it's just like, what do you mean we're in like a arena brawler with Crash, and you're like fighting to collect the Wumpa and whatnot. But once I started playing it, it literally was just like, it had all the elements that made a Crash Bandicoot game, but transformed it into a really fun multiplayer thing. And it's such a shame that didn't get to continue off, you know, be its own thing going forward. It really sucks because like I was getting into it and I thought the ideas that they had there were really interesting. I know it wasn't everybody's cup of tea for Crash Bandicoot, but Crash Team Rumble, hidden gem, love that game. I will always love that game for what it was, and I will always be disappointed that I didn't get to do what it had potential to do. I don't even know how far they were planning to go with that game, but man, dude, if that game were still around right now, that would be such a fun time. I'm sure it would be an amazing time just to have something like that out and just continuously see it get updated while we're waiting for other things to happen with the franchise. But unfortunately, that's just not what happened. Putting that aside, I feel like you're going to have the same thing with A Realm Beyond, where it's going to be a brand new gameplay experience that looks familiar, but Toys for Bob is still experimenting and trying to figure out what direction they're full-heartedly taking it or wanting to. Let me reword that. Toys for Bob are looking at how to what to call it for marketing. Like they know what the game is, and the game, if the game is coming out in spring of next year, they don't have to worry about what the gameplay is. It's just they're trying to figure out how to describe the gameplay for people that want to get into the game or are interested in picking up the game if they've never played Spyro before. So again, all they showed in that little snippet was Spyro is flying, he goes under a bridge, he shoots a fireball. It looks like you can lock on to campfires or whatever that you're wanting to shoot at, but more specifically campfires. And there was something else in the air that I'll touch up on in a little bit. You lock on, or it locks on automatically, shoot the fireball, and he can ride into the campfire, and it like lifts him up. And then he shoots another fireball. You're able to shoot another fireball at like this circle thing, or this sphere, and it opens up this circle, allowing Spyro to gain some speed from it. And that sort of is interesting because it kind of reminds me of speedways a little bit. It's like they're mixing some elements here, like the way that they initiate the flight. It looks like he's coming in from a downward glide. It's like he's obviously flying, but it looks like he sort of like dived down, and then the player was able to manage to like draw him. I don't know how to describe this without having something on screen to really show. I'll try my best to do a diagram here. It's like they dove down and then swooshed, and then close your eyes when I'm trying to explain this. Imagine it. And then he like levels out. He goes under the bridge, and then they see the campfire, they shoot the campfire, and then like they go through the air vent that causes, allowing him to spro back up. He spros back up, and then he shoots the sphere, and he does a little twist, getting some speed. There's a lot to look out for here, because like it looks like the way that Dragonflight works is it's more rewarding when you understand the gameplay of it. It's like, I think when people think of like free flight in Spyro, they think that it like completely diminishes the whole point of Spyro being a platformer, because why have platforming and flying at the same time when I could just, you know, be like Tails from Sonic the Hedgehog and fly over that platform? But I think the way that they are handling the free flight in this, or the dragon flight as they refer to it as, is, from my understanding, it looks like it's more of a skillful thing, something that you earn by interacting with the environment around you. It's like, maybe, yes, you can fly, but you're not going to be able to get that much height out of the flying unless you are paying attention to the environmental things that you are interacting with, such as the campfires and those little sphere things that allow Spyro to go faster and higher up into the air. And it looks like there's a ton of different campfires as well. So that's what makes me believe that whenever you're in Dragonflight, you'll be able to fly, but I think there will be like sort of like a limit to your flight. And you're only going to be able to get a higher flight out of it if you, again, are interacting with certain things that lifts Spyro more up into the air. At least that's the gist that I'm getting from looking at the gameplay here. Like, it looks like it's more of a, hey, you know, this is an optional thing that you can do that will let you get to places faster or quicker, but you have to be paying attention, and you have to be, it's going to be something that you're going to have to learn a little bit. It's going to have like a little bit of a skill to it, because that's how they were describing it in those interviews. They were like, you know, they designed this flight system around momentum, speed, and just being able to maintain that. And that's how I think the flight's going to work, because it's more of it makes it feel like it's more of an optional thing, while also maybe having some segments where it's not optional, just so you don't fully lose the whole purpose of that system. I think it's going to be sort of like a Sonic Frontiers, right? Okay, let me explain this one, because that might sound weird where I'm going with this. But so in Sonic Frontiers, and I'm not saying that this is how Spyro is going to be, because it doesn't look like it. In Sonic Frontiers, when you're in the overworld in the open zone, you do these challenges, and as you're doing the challenges and completing them, it like spawns in rails, it spawns in platforms, and essentially once you're done with majority of the challenges on an island in Sonic Frontiers, you've just set up this entire like fast travel system based around like platforming in a sense, where you can get to places faster now that you have that rail there, now that you have this platform over here. Like, and that's how I feel like there might be a similar approach to this, where like instead of there being challenges to complete, the challenge is already set up, but they require you to learn the different mechanics of flight to get around the island or whatever world you're in a lot quicker. Another thing that I just so I can get myself off of talking about flight, and because I feel like I've said the same thing over and over again, to go into something else here. Something else that is pointed out very briefly is, it's not even briefly, but you'll notice that Spyro doesn't have Sparks. Sparks doesn't seem to be with Spyro, and that's likely due to the story being that Spyro is in this new realm. This is like a new world. There's going to be new characters, new villain, obviously. So it may just be that like maybe in the opening we'll get some sort of clarification as to what happens to Sparks, but it doesn't seem like Sparks is going to be in this game, at least from what it seems like, unless the villain is like capturing dragonflies, sort of like Enter the Dragonfly. I don't think so, but again, they could be taking inspiration from that. So it does leave me to wonder what the health system or the combat system in general is going to look like. Are we going to get a health bar? Are we going to get just like sort of like a penalizing system where you don't really die per se, but like I don't really know how to describe it, but like for example, if I'm flying and this enemy like shoots at me, I instantly lose my flight ability. Like I just stop dead air and drop down, maybe. I don't know. It does make me wonder what kind of approach they're gonna have for the combat system, because in Spyro it's always been flame the dude, unless you played the Legend of Spyro series, where it's more so like a very beat 'em up combat focused thing. I wonder if they're gonna try and go back to that system, or like try to find like a balance between original Spyro and a combat system, so that like people that play Spyro and enjoy Spyro for the platforming and the collectathon aspects don't have to rely too heavily on the combat system. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's really cool to see them just sort of come back and like introduce not just Dragonflight, but like an all new twist on the gameplay in general, because it just, the world that Spyro is flying in from that small preview looks like it's gigantic. Like, I'm not saying it's like giant, but like just from the small little tidbit of gameplay that we got, it looked super open. It looks like there's like a ton of things to go and explore. You can see there's seagulls flying in the background somewhere. So again, Sparks not being there, like, it kind of makes me feel like there's still going to be like some kind of element of being able to recharge or regain health from maybe killing like the local animal that you'll find in Spyro. I don't know. Obviously we know sheep are probably going to be a part of it. You can't have Spyro without sheep, so maybe sheep will be around. Either Paul or Lou Studdard said that. I'm not too sure which one, but I'm pretty certain there was like maybe an IGN interview with them. They said something about sheep, or said that sheep would be there, because I think people were asking, I think the question was stemming off of like where Sparks and stuff like that. But yeah, no. And then on top of that, the music, I don't know if a lot of people really heard it in the trailer. for me, it sounded like there was a little hint of Copeland in the beginning. Like, it wasn't straight up just Stuart Copeland, but like it makes me wonder the little tune that they have playing there. It does make me wonder if Stuart Copeland may have a little bit of involvement with this one. I'm very, very intrigued to hear the soundtrack. That's something that I always look forward to whenever it comes to these new games, Crash, Spyro, Sonic, the soundtrack. So I'm very invested in the soundtrack. And then just speaking of sound in general, I'm so happy they got Tom Kenny back. I can't wait to see who the other cast members are going to be. I know there's a lot of speculation going around that the main villain sounds like he's voiced by Mark Hamill because of the laugh that we heard in the trailer. I don't really hear it. I sort of heard like an ooka ooka kind of laugh out of that, but like that is just me. But I can definitely see how people could think that was Mark Hamill. It would be very interesting. That would be a very big name to have in something like Spyro. So, you know, for something new in Spyro, you know, that'd be great. That'd be awesome. Tom Kenny and Mark Hamill in a project like this would be insane. But I am hopeful that we will see some returning characters as well. You know, we saw Allura got a complete redesign in Crash Team Rumble, going back to that for a second. And it fits in with the Realm Beyond. I feel like the Allura design that they showcased there definitely fits with this new Spyro design that we have, which the Spyro design looks fantastic. I love how it looks. It looks awesome. But yeah, no, I'm very hopeful for the world building and seeing how they're going to handle the storytelling and just how overall we're going to really be getting into this new version of Spyro. I'm so stoked. I'm hype. I'm pumped. Oh my god, I've never been so happy about something recently. It's just so great to see that this franchise now has somewhat of a future planned, and hopefully a future planned ahead. The trailer, I believe, just recently either surpassed 11 million or is right at 12 million, which is like the biggest trailer that the Spyro channel has ever seen. So it just goes to show that there is a lot of interest in this, and I'm glad that Toys for Bob is able to come back and helm the project for this one. I'm looking forward to it, and you better be looking forward to it, because I'm going to be doing a bunch of Spyro content on the channel alongside Sonic, as well as we build up hype for A Realm Beyond. If you want to keep up with more Spyro stuff, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you won't miss a video about Spyro or Sonic. And if you like this video, leave a like, comment down below your thoughts on A Realm Beyond. Let me know what you think the gameplay is going to be like. I'm super invested in this. I'm super interested in this. And again, thank you so much for listening to me ramble for almost 21 minutes. This will probably be cut down to about maybe 15. I don't know. We'll see. And yeah. Until next time, take care.